there is a strange moment that happens to many English learners. You can spend an hour watching an English video. You understand almost everything. You can read a difficult article. You understand the main idea. You can even hear someone speaking quickly and think, "Wow, my English is getting better. My English is perfect." Not, "I never make mistakes," and much more powerful. "I am an English speaker, and I am still growing." This is English Flow Podcast, and I am Emma. Think about the last time you froze while speaking English. Maybe it happened at work. Maybe someone asked you a question. Maybe you were ordering food. Maybe you were meeting someone new. Maybe you were in a job interview. And the strange thing was, you understood the question. You knew what you wanted to say, but you could not make the words come out. And afterward, you probably thought, "My English is terrible. I want you to stop saying that, at least for today." Because freezing does not automatically mean you do not know English. Sometimes, it means you know enough English, but you do not feel comfortable enough to use it. Think about swimming. Imagine someone who can swim perfectly in a quiet swimming pool. They know how to move their arms. They know how to breathe. They know how to stay above the water. Then one day, they step into the ocean. The waves are moving. The water feels different. They are suddenly surrounded by uncertainty. Do they forget how to swim? No. The skill is still there, but fear changes what their body does with that skill. Speaking English can be exactly the same. When you are alone, you can speak. When you are reading, you understand. When you are watching a video, you recognize the words. But then another person looks at you, and suddenly your brain says, "Do not make a mistake. Do not sound stupid. Do not take too long. Do not use the wrong word. Do not embarrass yourself." Now you are doing two jobs at once. You are trying to communicate while also judging yourself, and that is exhausting. So maybe your English does not need to become perfect before you speak. Maybe you need to become comfortable speaking while your English is still imperfect. That is a completely different goal, and it is much more achievable. So remember this: your goal is not to speak perfect English. Your goal is to keep the conversation moving. Fluent speakers do this all the time. They do not know every word. They do not produce perfect sentences every time. They know how to continue. And today, that is the skill we are going to build. Now imagine someone asks you, "What did you think about the meeting?" Your brain starts searching. Meeting. What did I think? Which grammar should I use? What is the perfect answer? 1 second passes. 2 seconds. 3. Now you are uncomfortable. 5 seconds. And something interesting happens. You are no longer thinking about the answer. You are thinking about the silence. That is when your brain can freeze even more. So here is the first technique, the 3-second rule. When a question lands, do not immediately search for the perfect answer. Give yourself a bridge. Say, "That is a good question." Or, "Let me think for a second." Or, "Actually, yes." Or, "That is interesting." Or simply, "Give me a second." These sentences are not magic. They are bridges. They give your brain a little time to catch up, but they also do something psychologically important. They make the silence feel normal. Instead of standing there thinking, "Oh no, I am taking too long," you are communicating. I am thinking. That is normal. Native speakers do it. Fluent speakers do it. You can do it too. Let us practice. I am going to ask you a question. Do not translate. Do not write anything down. Just answer out loud. Ready? What did you do this morning? Maybe you said, "I woke up at 7. Maybe I had breakfast. Maybe I went to work." Maybe you said something longer. Maybe you only said 3 words. It does not matter. You just did something important. You did not wait for perfect English. You spoke, and that is the muscle we are training. Let us try another. What is one thing you want to improve about your English? Notice what happens inside your head. Do you start checking grammar? Do you search for the perfect word? Do you mentally translate your answer? That is okay. We are not trying to eliminate those habits instantly. We are learning to move through them. So this week, when someone asks you a difficult question, try. That is a good question. Let me think for a second. Then breathe. Then answer with the simplest English you have. Not the most impressive English. The simplest English. Because simple English that comes out is more useful than perfect English trapped inside your head. Remember these 5 bridges. That is a good question. Let me think for a moment. Actually, yes, I understand what you mean. Give me 1 second, please. You do not need 50 phrases. Start with 5. Use them until they become automatic. But there is a problem. You can learn the 3-second rule and still freeze. Why? Because freezing does not only happen during the conversation, it often starts asterisk before the conversation. And that is what we are going to fix next. Have you ever practiced a sentence in your head before speaking? Maybe you think, "I will tell my manager that I would like to discuss the project." You rehearse it. You check it. You change a word. You check the grammar again. You finally feel ready. Then your manager looks at you and says, "So, what do you think?" And suddenly, your beautiful sentence is gone. Why? Because real conversations do not wait for you. They move. They change. People interrupt you. They ask unexpected questions. They say something you did not prepare for. That is why fluent communication is not about memorizing perfect sentences. It is about having useful pieces of language ready to go. Think about a toolbox. You do not memorize an entire instruction manual before using a screwdriver. You learn how to use the tool. Then, you use it when you need it. English can work the same way. Instead of asking, "What grammar should I study next?" ask, "What situation am I going to face this week?" Maybe you are going to a restaurant. You might need, "Could I have? Can I get? Could we have the bill, please?" Maybe you are going to speak to your manager. You might need, "I would like to ask about. Could we discuss? I am not sure, but I think." Maybe you are meeting new people. You might need, "How do you know them? What do you do? How long have you lived here?" Notice something. We are not trying to learn everything. We are preparing for real life. You do not need to master the entire English language before having a conversation. You need enough language for the conversation you are actually going to have. That is a huge difference. So here is your exercise. Think about one real situation you will face this week. Work, school, a restaurant, a phone call, a meeting, a conversation with a friend. Choose one. Now ask yourself, what 3 English phrases would make that situation easier? Not 30. 3. Write them down. Say them out loud. Practice them. Then use them. Next week, choose 3 more. That is how you build usable English. Not by collecting English, by using English. And there is another reason this works. When you prepare useful phrases instead of perfect speeches, you are reducing the amount of thinking you have to do while speaking. And the less your brain has to calculate, the more attention it can give to the actual conversation. That is what we want. Not a perfect sentence, a moving conversation. But now we are going to look at something many learners completely ignore. Your mouth. Here is a strange question. How much English do you speak silently? Probably a lot. You read. You listen. You watch videos. You study vocabulary. You think about grammar. But speaking is physical. Your mouth has to move. Your tongue has to move. Your breathing changes. Your voice has to carry the sentence. And if you rarely speak English out loud, speaking can feel unfamiliar even when you understand a lot. That is why I want you to try something that may feel ridiculous. The mirror method. Tonight, stand in front of a mirror for 5 minutes. Look at yourself and talk. Not perfectly. Just talk. Tell yourself what you did today. I woke up at 7. I was tired. I had coffee. I went to work. I had a difficult meeting. I came home. That is enough. Then make it slightly harder. Tell the mirror what you think. I am tired of studying English. I want to speak more confidently. I think social media is useful. I do not like waking up early. Anything. The goal is not beautiful English. The goal is getting comfortable hearing yourself speak English. Because when you are alone, there is no audience, no judgment, no pressure. You can make mistakes. You can stop. You can start again. And that is exactly what makes it useful. The first night may feel strange. That is okay. The third night may feel less strange. After a few weeks, speaking out loud can start to feel normal. And that is what we are trying to create. We do not want English speaking to feel like an examination. We want it to feel like communication. And remember the 3-second rule? If you get stuck while talking to yourself, pause, take 3 seconds, then continue. You are training the same response you will eventually use with another person. Now let us talk about listening. Maybe you already listen to English every day. That is great. But there's a difference between hearing English and training with English. Choose a short clip. A podcast, an interview, a video. 30 seconds is enough. Listen to one sentence. Stop, copy it. Not just the words. Copy the rhythm, the pauses, the stress, the speed. For example, I really did not expect that. Do not say every word with equal force. Listen to the music of the sentence. I really did not expect that. Again. I really did not expect that. Again, this is called shadowing. And it is useful because you are training your ears and your mouth at the same time. You are teaching your brain. This is what English sounds like. And this is what it feels like to produce English. Start with 5 or 10 minutes. You do not need an hour. And do not choose something far above your level. Choose something you mostly understand. Then copy it again and again. You do not need to understand every single word. You are also training your speaking rhythm. Because fluency is not only knowing what a sentence means, it is being able to produce it without fighting every word. And here is your challenge. Take one sentence from this episode. Choose one sentence you like. Listen to it, pause, copy it, then say it again without listening. That is how passive English starts becoming active English. Now I want to give you a technique that costs nothing. Nobody needs to know you are doing it. Every night, write 5 sentences about your day. That is it. 5. No dictionary. No translator. No complicated grammar. For example, today I woke up late. I had coffee. My manager gave me some work. I was tired in the afternoon. I watched a movie at night. Simple. Maybe you know a better word. Do not look it up. Use the word you already have. Because this exercise is not mainly about learning new vocabulary, it is about teaching your brain something much more important. Imperfect English is still useful English. That is a lesson many learners desperately need. Because if you only allow yourself to use English when it is perfect, you will spend a lot of your life waiting for better grammar, waiting for more vocabulary, waiting for confidence, waiting to finally feel ready. But waiting does not create fluency. Using the language does. So tonight, 5 sentences, 2 minutes, no perfection. And tomorrow, do it again. If you make a mistake, keep going. If you do not know a word, use an easier word. If your sentence sounds simple, that is okay. Simple is not failure. Simple is usable. Now let me ask you something. When you hear English, do you translate it into your first language? Sometimes that is completely normal. But when you try to speak, translation can create a long chain. You think the sentence in your first language. You translate it. You check the grammar. You search for a word. Then you speak. That is 4 steps. Meanwhile, the conversation has already moved forward. So we are going to remove one step. We are not going to tell you, never think in your first language again. That is unrealistic. Instead, we are going to start small. Think small thoughts directly in English. You are making coffee. I need more sugar. You are getting dressed. It is cold today. You are walking. I am running late. You are cooking. I need to cut the vegetables. You are looking for your phone. Where did I put my phone? These sentences are almost boring. Perfect. That is exactly why they work. You are not translating an essay. You are connecting ordinary thoughts with English. And slowly, the gap gets smaller. English becomes less like something you translate and more like something you use. Try it today. Pick 5 moments. Do not force it. Just notice them. Coffee, walking, cooking, driving. getting ready for bed. For each moment, say one simple English sentence. That is enough. And if your sentence is not perfect, keep going. Remember, the goal is not perfect English. The goal is a faster connection between your thought and your words. Everything we have done so far has been safe. Your mirror does not judge you. Your diary does not interrupt you. Your phone does not stare at you. Your podcast does not laugh when you make a mistake. But eventually, you have to speak to a real person. And this is where many learners stop. So let us make it smaller. You do not need to walk into a room full of strangers and give a 10-minute speech. Start tiny. Ask one question. Say one sentence. Have one short conversation. That is it. And here is something important. Most people are thinking about themselves. They are not recording every mistake you make. They are not going home and thinking, "Did you hear that grammar mistake?" They have their own problems, their own worries, their own day. You may remember your mistake for 3 days. They may forget it in 3 seconds. So this week, find one low-pressure opportunity to speak. Ask someone for directions. Order something. Make small talk. Ask a simple question. And if your English is not perfect, let it be imperfect. Because your first goal is not, "I will speak perfectly." Your first goal is, "I will speak even when I feel uncomfortable." That is courage. And courage is part of speaking too. Now remember your 3-second rule. If someone asks you something and your mind goes blank, do not panic. Do not apologize for your English. Do not immediately say, "Sorry, my English is bad." Take your 3 seconds. Say, "That is a good question. Let me think." Then, continue. You are not trying to prove that your English is perfect. You are proving to yourself that you can keep going. There is one more problem. You can have the best English routine in the world and still stop doing it because motivation disappears. You are tired. You are busy. You forget. So do not depend on motivation. Attach English to something you already do. Brush your teeth. Speak English for 2 minutes. Make coffee. Narrate what you are doing. Drive to work. Listen to a short English clip. Wash the dishes. Talk about your day. Before bed, write 5 sentences. You do not need to create an extra 2-hour English routine. Attach English to your existing life. Because the best habit is not the most impressive habit. It is the one you actually repeat. And please do not make this mistake. "I missed yesterday, so I have failed." No, you missed yesterday. That is all. Start again today. One missed day does not erase your progress. We are not building perfection here. We are building consistency. And consistency is much more powerful than motivation. So make your English routine almost too easy to fail. 2 minutes, 5 sentences, 1 short clip, 1 conversation, 1 phrase, small actions. Repeated often. That is how something becomes automatic. Now we have reached the sentence I mentioned at the beginning. You have probably heard it hundreds of times. Maybe you have said it yourself. Maybe you say it every week. The sentence is, "I am learning English." Now, there is absolutely nothing grammatically wrong with that sentence. But listen to what your mind might quietly hear. I am learning English, meaning I am not there yet. I am not really a speaker yet. Maybe someday I will be good enough. Right now, I am still trying. And that identity can make you wait. Wait until your grammar improves. Wait until your vocabulary grows. Wait until your accent changes. Wait until you feel confident. But what if we change the sentence? What if instead of saying, I am learning English, you said, I am an English speaker, and I am still growing? Say it again. I am an English speaker, and I am still growing. Does it feel strange? Good. It may feel strange because you are asking your brain to see you differently. Notice what this sentence does. It does not say, my English is perfect. It does not say, I never make mistakes. It does not say, I have finished learning. It says, I am an English speaker, and I am still growing. Both can be true. You can make mistakes and still be an English speaker. You can forget a word and still be an English speaker. You can have an accent and still be an English speaker. You can freeze sometimes and still be an English speaker. You do not have to earn the right to call yourself one, because speaking is not something you become worthy of after perfection. Speaking is part of how you improve. Think about that. You do not become a speaker after you become confident. You become more confident because you start speaking. You do not become fluent and then make mistakes. You make mistakes and learn to keep speaking. That is the shift. Maybe you do not need another grammar book. Maybe you do not need another vocabulary list. Maybe you do not need another promise that you will start next Monday. Maybe you simply need to stop waiting for permission to speak. And that is why I want you to remember the 3-second rule. When the question comes, 3 seconds, breathe. Use a bridge. Then speak. Not perfectly. Just speak. Before you leave this episode, I want you to do something. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now. I am going to give you a simple question. Answer it out loud. Do not type it. Do not translate it. Do not make it perfect. Just answer. Ready? Why do you want to speak English more confidently? Maybe you said, for my job, for travel, for my family, to make friends, to feel confident. Whatever your answer was, that sentence matters. Because behind every English learner is a reason. Maybe you want better opportunities. Maybe you want to travel without fear. Maybe you want to talk to people from other countries. Maybe you want to speak at work. Maybe you simply want to stop feeling nervous when someone asks you a question. Whatever your reason is, remember it. Because motivation becomes stronger when you know what you are moving toward. Now let us practice one more time. Imagine someone asks you, why are you learning English? Do not prepare the perfect answer. Take 3 seconds. Now answer. Good. You just practiced exactly what we have been talking about. And remember, when someone speaks too quickly, you can say, could you say that again, please? When your mind goes blank, say, that is a good question. Let me think. When you do not know the perfect word, use an easier one. And when the old voice inside your head says, my English is not good enough, answer it. I am an English speaker, and I am still growing. And if nobody has told you this recently, I am proud of you for continuing. Not because your English is perfect, because you are still trying. You are still listening. You are still learning. You are still showing up. And that is what this podcast is going to be about. Not perfect English. Not complicated English. Not pretending mistakes do not happen. We are here for growing English. Real English. The English you use when you are nervous. The English you use when you forget a word. The English you use when your sentence is not perfect, but you say it anyway. So here is your challenge. Go to the comments and complete this sentence. I will start today by. Maybe I will start today by using the 3-second rule. Maybe I will start today by speaking to myself for 5 minutes. Maybe I will start today by saying, I am an English speaker, and I am still growing. Write your sentence, not because I need to see it, because sometimes saying something publicly makes it feel real. And when you come back to this episode later, you will remember what you promised yourself. If this episode helped you feel a little less afraid of speaking English, subscribe to ** English Flow. Podcast ***. We are going to keep building this together. One phrase, one conversation, one small step at a time. And if you know someone who understands English but struggles to speak it, send this episode to them. Maybe they are sitting somewhere right now, quietly thinking, my English is not good enough. Maybe they just need to hear this. They are not broken, they are not alone, and they do not have to be perfect to start speaking. You do not need perfect English to deserve a voice. You do not need another 1,000 words before you start. You do not need to wait until you are ready. Take 3 seconds. Take a breath. Say the sentence. Make the mistake. Keep going. And then, do it again tomorrow. Because one day, you will look back at the person who was afraid to speak and realize something. That person never disappeared. You simply taught them how to speak anyway. This is English Flow Podcast. Keep growing. Keep speaking. And remember, I am an English speaker, and I am still growing. See you in the next episode.